Games You Missed is a series where I highlight a great game that may have escaped your notice. If you have any suggestions for games you'd like to see featured in this series, let us know in the comments below. But today we're going to be talking about Nights of Azure 2, or Nights of Azure 2.
JRPG.
So why did we miss Nights of Azure 2? Well, it released right in the middle of one of the strongest game release windows of all time. People go to the store, they see a copy or two of Nights of Azure 2 right next to 400 copies of Super Mario Odyssey with employees probably all in Super Mario cosplay surrounded by giant cardboard cutouts of Mario. Which one are you going to buy? It wasn't any better for the other platform it launched on either, with the PS4 also getting tons of quality and highly praised releases all around the same time. It sums up these JRPG releases from Koei in the West though, very little marketing and almost always really bad timing. That does make it great for this Games You Missed series though, because you probably did miss it. I had this slated for a full proper review and it was due way back closer to its release, but it kept falling down and down the list of priorities as both other video content and real life pulled me away from it. And up until a week ago, I still planned to make this a full review, but you know what? I really don't have that much to say about it. I try to make Games You Missed about games that might not blow you away, but are worth your time, and that is exactly what Nights of Azure 2 is. It's a reasonably solid, fairly average JRPG that some people will love more than others, but most JRPG fans will come out the other end not regretting their time with Alushay and the other very, very jiggly girls. Nights of Azure 2 isn't your traditional paint-by-numbers JRPG though. It has some defining characteristics. They've mostly been done before, but they certainly aren't the norm. The main thing here is how the gameplay and story progresses. It reminds me a lot of Majora's Mask. There is a moon ticking down and you have to make progress before it reaches a new moon, or the world ends, basically. But when you set out in the world, you have a limited amount of time before you have to come back and rest. It's a great way to keep the story and the game moving without the time limits being so tight that it feels frustrating, and there are story explanations behind all of it, but I try to keep my stuff as spoiler free as possible so I won't talk about that here. In general, the story is average. There are plenty of tropes and I don't think it's going to blow anyone away. We've mostly seen it before, but the writing is just fine and the characters are interesting enough to keep you invested. The character designs are also really awesome for the most part, but they kind of have to be to mitigate how drab the world is. The footage you are looking at is from the Nintendo Switch version, because I now prefer that platform over anything. You don't realize how convenient being able to pick up the Switch and continue playing is until you try and fail to do it with your PS4. But I thought the visuals were just a side effect of the Switch's lower specs, until a great friend in Tark's Gauntlet sent me some footage of his PS4 review, which you should totally check out by the way, it's way more in depth than this. There really isn't that much difference, and performance is pretty similar, though it does struggle with consistent frame rate in handheld mode when a lot of enemies are on screen. The biggest annoyance by far though, and this is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch version as far as I know, is the incredibly off-putting and confusing button mapping that cannot be changed. It seems like Koei ported it to the Switch and only changed the confirmation button from the X position on the PS4 controller to the A button on the Switch for half of the menus. You'll constantly be told to press A to open a menu or enter a room, only to find that you have to press the B button to confirm actions or do anything in those menus, with the A button now cancelling instead of confirming. It is completely stupid, and it wouldn't be so bad if they at least made it consistent. Like, yes, B confirming and A being cancel would still confuse muscle memory for Switch players, but those mappings consistently changing and switching places was doing my head in. Given my experience, this may be one of the only times I'll heavily recommend getting the PS4 version over the Switch, unless you really care about the portability. And I do recommend you get this game. Like I said, it's worth your time, and there are plenty of you out there that will really enjoy the story it tells and the characters it develops. It's a solid game with a solid action battle system, really great art direction on anything except environments, and a soundtrack that complements the whole package just fine without being particularly memorable. Oh, and Jiggle, Jiggle, Jiggle.